TantrumKnows.
School's in session.
What's up, YouTube family? It's TantrumKnows, and today we're diving deep into something most people never think about. See, animals ain't just out here surviving, they're teaching. Every creature, from the biggest beast to the tiniest insect, carries a lesson that can change your mindset, your grind, and your life. So today, I'm counting down the top 10 animals that'll teach you more than school ever did. Every one of these creatures holds a truth about patience, power, and purpose. And trust me, when we hit number 1, your whole view on teamwork and discipline will shift forever. Let's count it down. Number 10, the crocodile. Patience in the shadows. Crocodile. The ancient predator crocodiles are living fossils, survivors from the age of dinosaurs. They've ruled rivers and swamps for over 200 million years, outlasting ice ages, floods, and extinction events that wiped out nearly everything else. Scientists call them evolution success story. They've changed almost nothing about their design, because nature already made them perfect. Armored skin layered with bony plates. A tail built like a whip. Eyes and nostrils high on their head so they can breathe and see while their body stays hidden underwater. When most animals need food every day to survive, crocodiles can slow their heartbeat down to 2 or 3 beats per minute, conserving oxygen and energy so efficiently that they can live off a single large meal for months. That's patience at a biological level. When food is scarce, they don't panic. They don't waste energy. They simply adjust, waiting until the next opportunity comes drifting by. That's not just survival. That's wisdom written into muscle. Brain. The psychology of the predator. A crocodile's brain is small, but don't mistake that for simple. They have remarkable memory and pattern recognition. They remember watering holes, migration paths, and even the times of year animals return to drink. That's not random instinct. That's experience. They are predators of patience. In a world obsessed with speed, the crocodile wins by waiting. It understands something humans often forget, that timing beats movement. People rush. They chase. They panic when things slow down. But the crocodile teaches the opposite. Stay still long enough, and the world eventually brings opportunity to you. Its stillness isn't boredom, it's focus. Still water hides deep awareness. The crocodile doesn't move until movement means success. Globe showing Europe, Africa, the science of survival. There's a reason these creatures haven't gone extinct. They live at the balance between aggression and efficiency. When temperatures drop, they slow their metabolism. When drought comes, they dig burrows in riverbanks and wait for the rains to return. Their bodies are tanks, but their strategy is elegance. Even their young are born survivors. Baby crocodiles hatch already knowing how to swim and hunt, guided by instincts older than human civilization. Their strength isn't just in muscle, it's an adaptation. They've endured everything the planet has thrown at them, from asteroid impacts to climate shifts, because they mastered the art of waiting without wasting. That's why you'll find crocodiles on every continent except Europe and Antarctica. They're not lucky, they're built for forever. Fire. The symbolism of the crocodile. In ancient Egypt, the crocodile wasn't seen as a monster, it was worshipped. The god Sobuk, depicted with the head of a crocodile, represented strength, protection, and control. He was feared, but respected, a balance between destruction and defense. To the people of the Nile, the crocodile wasn't just a threat, it was a teacher. It showed that even power must be tempered by patience. That real dominance isn't loud, it's disciplined. Even today, crocodiles symbolize endurance. They remind us that survival doesn't always belong to the fastest or the strongest. It belongs to those who understand when not to move. Thought balloon. The lesson in stillness. We live in a generation that fears silence. People think if they're not always posting, talking, or chasing, they're falling behind. But the crocodile proves that progress doesn't always make noise. Stillness doesn't mean you've stopped growing. It means you're saving your energy for the right moment. The crocodile doesn't fight the river, it becomes one with it. It doesn't waste time chasing every ripple. It waits for the current to bring something worth its attention. That's the power of focus. That's the art of self-control. You don't have to move every day to make progress. You don't have to prove your power. You just have to be ready when opportunity swims by. Because when it does, it's too late for the ones still splashing around in panic. Sunrise. The message. Be patient in your grind. Be silent in your preparation. Be powerful in your moment. The crocodile doesn't age the way we do. It stays sharp until the very end, then simply stops. No fading, no burnout, just done. That's how life should be lived. At peace, with purpose, and with precision. Patience is not weakness. Stillness is not surrender. Both are signs of mastery. The crocodile has been around for millions of years because it learned that timing is everything. And when you move only when it matters, you never miss. Number 9. Genius in the dirt. The story of pigs. Did you know? Pigs are smarter than dogs, smarter than chimpanzees in certain tests, and even smarter than toddlers in memory experiments? That's right. The same animal most people look down on as lazy, dirty, or simple-minded might just be one of the most intelligent creatures walking the earth. But here's the crazy part. They've known it all along. They don't chase approval, and they don't need validation. They live by their own rhythm. Quiet, underestimated, but always aware. See, the pig isn't dirty by nature. It's dirty by design. It rolls in mud not because it's filthy, but because it's brilliant. Mud keeps its skin cool, protects it from parasites, and acts like natural sunscreen. While other animals overheat under the sun, the pig moves slow, steady, and smart, mastering comfort in the very thing others laugh at. That's not stupidity. That's strategy. Pig face, the underestimated genius. Most people have no idea that pigs can use tools, solve puzzles, and even play video games with joysticks. In studies, pigs learned to move a cursor across a screen to earn food rewards, and they did it better than dogs and primates. They remember patterns, adapt quickly, and recognize symbols on screens, not by chance, but by comprehension. They can also distinguish between the faces of humans and remember them for years. They can learn their own names in less than a week. And when it comes to social life, they build hierarchies, communicate through over 20 different vocalizations, and even show empathy toward each other. They have emotions, real ones. Joy, grief, anger. Pigs play when they're happy. They squeal when they're scared. And when one gets hurt, others comfort it with gentle grunts and nudges. It's not just an animal, it's a being. One that science is still trying to fully understand. Yet the world calls it filthy. Globe showing Europe, Africa, the science of survival. Pigs are survivors because they adapt to almost any environment. From icy farmland to tropical forests, they can eat nearly anything and still thrive. Their digestive systems are so efficient that they can turn scraps into strength faster than most animals. In fact, pigs were one of the first animals humans domesticated, not just for food, but for partnership. Ancient Chinese farmers used pigs to help till soil and clear land. In some European villages, pigs were used like guard dogs, alerting families when strangers approached. And their intelligence goes even deeper. They can dream. They can plan. They have long-term memory and can anticipate events based on past experience. Think about that. An animal we dismiss as dumb can literally predict the future by remembering patterns from the past. If that's not genius, what is? Thought balloon, the emotional mind. Pigs are one of the few animals that can pass what's called the mirror test, a test scientists use to determine self-awareness. When you put a mark on an animal's face and place it in front of a mirror, most creatures don't realize that reflection is them. They'll attack it or ignore it. But pigs look, recognize, and respond to themselves. That means they understand me. They understand identity. And when they play together, they strategize. They use cooperation. One pig distracts while another sneaks food. They negotiate space and even learn fairness, refusing to participate in games if the reward feels unequal. You're talking about farm animals, behaving with emotional logic humans could learn from. Fire the lesson in the mud. Here's where it gets deep. The pig doesn't care about looking pretty. It cares about staying protected. It doesn't waste time proving itself to those who don't understand. It's not living for image, it's living for impact. That mud you see is mess. That's armor. That's insulation. That's intelligence. So many people waste energy trying to look clean in a dirty world. They care more about perception than purpose. But the pig? The pig reminds you that what's on you doesn't define what's in you. Sometimes genius hides where society refuses to look. Sometimes brilliance wears mud as camouflage. Crown the history of the hog. Throughout history, pigs have been both sacred and scorned. In ancient China, pigs were symbols of prosperity and protection, so much that people would build pig statues outside their homes to bless their land. In Celtic mythology, the boar was seen as a creature of courage, representing warriors who fought with both rage and wisdom. Even the Vikings respected pigs. They believed a giant boar pulled the chariot of their fertility god, Freyr. But somewhere along the way, humans rebranded them as unclean, forgetting the ancient wisdom that once honored them. That's how society works, right? When something can't be controlled or understood, it gets labeled. And when it gets labeled, it gets underestimated. But the pig doesn't mind. It's too busy thriving under the label gemstone, the dirt, and the diamond. There's a saying, don't wrestle with pigs, you'll both get dirty, and the pig likes it. People quote it like it's an insult. But if you think about it, it's a blueprint for power. The pig doesn't fight battles it can't win. It knows its environment. It knows its element. It knows comfort in the chaos. That's the real genius, mastering your space so deeply that no one can beat you in it. You might laugh at the mud, but the mud is the reason it's cool, calm, and covered. The dirt is its defense, its comfort, and its kingdom. And that's the same with you. The thing people mock about you might be the exact thing keeping you strong. The thing that makes you different might be your protection from what destroys everyone else. Fa balloon, the hidden brilliance. Pigs can understand up to 200 words, dream during sleep, and even enjoy music. Farmers who play calm tunes notice their pigs relax, their heart rates lower, their breathing slows, and they gather peacefully. They respond to affection. They remember kindness. They build trust. And yet, they stay grounded, literally. Feet in the dirt, mind sharp, body still, heart aware. They're the perfect reminder that intelligence doesn't always sparkle. Sometimes, it just works quietly, efficiently, consistently, right where it is. Sunrise the message. Sometimes, what looks low class is high strategy. Sometimes, what looks like failure is wisdom wearing a disguise. The pig doesn't need validation, it knows what works. It doesn't chase clout. It doesn't need applause. It's focused on living smarter, not louder. So when people doubt you because of where you came from, remember the pig. When they talk down on your grind because it doesn't look glamorous, remember the pig. When they call you messy for doing what you have to do to stay safe, stay sane, and stay strong, remember the pig. You don't need approval to prove intelligence. You don't need a stage to shine. You don't need to look clean to be successful. Let them see dirt. Number 8. The power of words. The story of parrots. Did you know, parrots don't just repeat words, they comprehend them? One African gray named Alex changed science forever when he proved that parrots don't mimic for noise, they mimic for meaning. Alex could count, identify colors and shapes, tell objects apart, and even ask questions like, what color am I? He knew over 100 words, and he didn't just copy sounds, he understood context. When he was tired of training, he'd say, I'm going to go back now. When he wanted his favorite treat, he'd ask by name. That's not a recording, that's reasoning. That's intelligence with intention. The parrot doesn't just speak, it listens, learns, and applies. It reminds us that every word we say builds or breaks something inside of us. Because language isn't noise, it's power. Brain, the science of speech. For years, scientists thought animals couldn't use language, they could only imitate. But parrots broke that rule. They can process sound through a part of their brain called the nidopallium caudolateral, a structure similar to the human prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for decision-making and problem-solving. That means their communication isn't just reflex, it's conscious thought. They use patterns, tone, and timing. They can remember specific phrases and apply them in new situations. It's not mimicry, it's mindfulness. Think about it. A creature with feathers and no lips can understand emotion through sound. They can tell when you're happy, angry, or sad just by listening to your tone. And they respond in kind, sometimes to comfort, sometimes to connect. That's intelligence beyond vocabulary. That's empathy in motion. Globe showing Europe, Africa, the language of connection. Parrots don't talk for fun. In the wild, they use sound to stay united, to survive. Every flock has a unique accent, a shared rhythm. They call to each other while flying, checking in like family members across miles of sky. Each chirp, each whistle, means something specific. Where are you? I'm here. Follow me. Danger's close. That's communication as teamwork, not ego. And it's deeper than survival. When two parrots bond, they start mimicking each other's sounds, creating a private language only they understand. That's love through listening. It's proof that real communication isn't about talking more, it's about connecting deeper. How many of us could say the same? How often do we talk to be heard instead of understood? The parrot doesn't waste words, it uses them with purpose. That's a habit we could all use more of. Fa balloon, the power of repetition. Here's what makes parrots powerful, they repeat. And that repetition is the blueprint for how humans program their minds. What you repeat becomes your belief. What you speak often enough becomes your truth. Every time you say, I can't, you teach your brain to stop trying. Every time you say, I got this, your brain finds a way to make it real. Your words are not random, they're seeds. Plant fear, and you'll grow hesitation. Plant faith, and you'll grow freedom. The parrot shows us that repetition isn't about noise, it's about focus. It's how the mind rewires itself to match the story you tell it. So what are you teaching yourself to believe? Because every day, your mouth is your microphone. and your thoughts are your playlist. The question is, are you looping lies or lessons? Magnifying glass tilted left, the mirror of meaning. Parrots understand reflection, not just in glass, but in tone. When you yell, they echo chaos. When you sing, they echo peace. When you speak gently, they mimic calm. They become what surrounds them. Sound familiar? Humans do the same thing. You become what you're around. You start repeating what you hear most. Negativity spreads like an echo chamber, but so does hope. If you want to change your reality, start with your vocabulary. Stop feeding your future with words that poison your present. You're either speaking life into your dreams or death into your potential every single time you open your mouth. Book's the story of Alex, the parrot who spoke to humanity. Let's go back to Alex, the parrot who made history. He wasn't raised in the wild. He was part of a 30-year study by Dr. Irene Pepperberg. And together, they changed everything science thought it knew about animal intelligence. Alex could answer questions with 80% accuracy. He could categorize objects by color, shape, and material. When asked to identify what color three-corner would, he'd say, blue. When asked how many green keys, he'd count. And when Dr. Pepperberg left the lab each night, Alex would say, "You be good. I love you. See you tomorrow." Those were his last words before he died in 2007. That's not just language, that's emotion wrapped in awareness. Alex proved something revolutionary. That understanding, empathy, and love aren't limited by species. They're limited by listening. Rainbow, the spiritual side of speech. In many cultures, parrots are seen as messengers. In ancient India, they symbolized truth, the voice of the gods carried on green wings. In Mayan mythology, they represented fire and the sun, the bridge between heaven and earth. And in African traditions, they were thought to deliver wisdom from ancestors through song. Why? Because people instinctively understood that words carry energy. Every sound you make changes something in the air and something inside of you. That's not magic, that's physics. Vibration moves matter. And words are the vibrations that shape reality. The parrot is a living reminder of that truth. It takes what it hears and throws it back, forcing us to listen to ourselves. Maybe that's why they live so long. Because they carry the weight of words better than we do. Thought balloon, the lesson. Your tongue is the switchboard of your destiny. What you keep saying, you keep becoming. You are the author of your sound. You are the architect of your thoughts. You are the echo that teaches your world what to believe. So be mindful of what you let live through your voice. Stop speaking curses over your own growth. Stop saying one day when you could be saying today. Because the universe doesn't respond to doubt, it responds to direction. If you say, "I'm lost," it won't show you a map. If you say, "I'm learning," it will start teaching you. If you say, "I'm ready," opportunities will start to appear. The parrot teaches that truth every single day. It doesn't invent words, it reflects them. It mirrors what it hears. So if you don't like the sound of your life, change the song you're playing. Sunrise the message. Your words are spells. Your voice is a tool. Your thoughts are the blueprint. Say it. Mean it. Live it. Speak faith until it becomes fact. Repeat power until it replaces pain. Talk to your dreams like they already exist, because they're listening. The parrot shows us that repetition is power, but only if you're repeating the right things. So speak carefully, live intentionally, and listen deeply. Because the next echo you hear might just be the sound of your own truth flying back to you. Number 7, strength under control, the story of gorillas. Did you know a silverback gorilla can lift more than 10 times its own body weight? That's over 4,000 pounds of raw muscle, power, and precision. Yet this creature spends most of its life sitting quietly, eating fruit and leaves, and protecting its family. It doesn't roar to be respected. It doesn't destroy to be feared. It leads by calm. Because real strength isn't loud, it's controlled. When danger approaches, the silverback doesn't panic. It doesn't shout, it doesn't flail, it just stands. And that alone is enough to send every threat running. That's presence. That's leadership. That's mastery over emotion. Brain, the gentle giant. Most people see gorillas as savage beasts, pounding their chests, breaking trees, fighting for dominance. But that image is a lie created by fear. Gorillas are peaceful by nature. They're herbivores, feeding mostly on leaves, stems, and fruit. They spend over half their day resting, grooming, and nurturing their families. Each troop is a community, a family built on loyalty and trust. And at the center of that family is one silverback, the protector, the provider, the guardian. He doesn't demand respect, he earns it. When danger shows up, a leopard, another rival, he doesn't fight because he wants to, he fights because he has to. That's what separates strength from ego, purpose. The silverback doesn't use force to prove power, he uses it to preserve peace. Globe showing Europe, Africa, the true king of the jungle. Here's a fact that surprises people. Gorillas aren't from jungles filled with lions and tigers. They're from the misty forests of Central Africa, mountain ranges, and thick green canopies. And while lions are called kings for their roar, the gorilla rules through silence. He's the heart of the forest, moving with weight and wisdom. When the troop travels, he stays behind, watching the young, the weak, the slow. He's always the last to leave, because real leaders walk behind their people, not in front of them. He doesn't chase credit. He carries responsibility. He doesn't brag about being the biggest. He uses his size to protect the smallest. And that's what the world often forgets, that leadership isn't domination, it's direction. Thought balloon: the power of calm. A gorilla's heartbeat can slow down even in high-stress situations. Scientists found that when rival groups clash, it's often the silverback's calm presence that decides peace or chaos. When he stays grounded, the troop follows his energy. When he panics, they scatter. That's the power of emotional control. It's not just physical strength, it's mental mastery. People think strength means having no fear. But the gorilla knows better. Strength means standing still in spite of it. He doesn't rush into fights he can avoid. He knows every move costs energy, and every unnecessary battle costs peace. So he measures before he moves. He listens before he speaks. And when he finally acts, the jungle shakes, not from rage, but from precision. That's discipline disguised as silence. Speech balloon: the language of respect. Gorillas communicate without words. They use eye contact, gestures, grunts, and posture. They don't argue, they express. They don't gossip, they signal. When the silverback beats his chest, it's not just to intimidate, it's to communicate across distance. That echo through the forest means, I'm here. My family's safe. Stay where you are. That's confidence without cruelty. It's a warning, not a war. Imagine if humans had that level of restraint. If power was used for clarity, not chaos. If we could raise our hands to protect instead of to provoke. That's what gorillas teach. Your strength means nothing if it isn't under control. Crown: the leadership code. A silverback doesn't get his title by fighting his way up. He earns it by being dependable. The troop follows him because they trust his instincts, not his volume. When danger approaches, every eye looks to him. And he doesn't run toward the threat blindly. He positions himself between the enemy and his family. That's leadership, putting yourself where the risk is highest, so others can feel safe. He'll fight if he must, but he prefers peace. He'll roar if he needs to, but silence is his weapon. Because dominance fades, but respect lasts. Seedling: the heart of the herd. Even the toughest silverbacks show tenderness. They play with their babies. They cradle newborns with hands big enough to crush logs, but soft enough to hold life. They groom their mates. They teach their young how to move through the forest, how to eat, how to survive. That's strength with softness, power balanced by purpose. They know that a true protector doesn't just defend life, he nurtures it. That's why their troops stay loyal. Because they follow not out of fear, but out of love. Every movement of the silverback says one thing: I've got you. Fire the lesson in the mirror. Now let's talk about us. We live in a world that celebrates volume. People yelling, flexing, bragging, fighting for attention. But noise doesn't equal leadership. Chaos doesn't equal confidence. You don't have to shout to prove you're strong. You don't have to fight to show you're capable. You don't have to show off your power. Real ones can feel it when you walk in the room. Because the loudest one in the jungle is usually the weakest. The one who needs to convince everyone else that he's dangerous is the one who's still convincing himself. The gorilla doesn't need to be seen to be respected. He just needs to be. Thought balloon: the inner gorilla. Inside every person is a gorilla, the calm protector, the quiet leader, the inner giant that knows when to fight and when to wait. But most people never meet theirs because they mistake movement for meaning. They think they have to roar to be heard. They think they have to prove strength by pushing people away. But that's not power, that's panic in disguise. The gorilla reminds us that balance builds empires. That silence can be louder than a scream. That patience can be more powerful than pressure. Control your power, don't parade it. Move calm, move confident. Because the more still your mind, the stronger your presence. Sunrise: the message. A silverback can crush bones, but he chooses to hold his family instead. He can tear down trees, but he builds peace. He can end life, but he protects it. That's strength under control. That's leadership in motion. And maybe that's the secret to real greatness. It's not about how much you can take. It's about how much you can handle without breaking your peace. So move like the gorilla. Stand tall, but stay calm. Lead with heart, not ego. Protect more than you attack. And remember, the jungle listens when you move in silence. Number 6. The memory that guides. The story of elephants. Did you know elephants remember faces for decades? They can recognize kindness, and they never forget cruelty. When drought hits, the matriarch leads her herd to water remembered from years past, a well deep in the desert, found only because she stored that knowledge. That's not instinct. That's intelligence passed down through generations. Elephants don't just survive, they preserve wisdom. Every wrinkle in their skin is a record of patience. Every step they take is guided by memory. They know where to find food, where to find water, and who to trust. That's not just survival, that's legacy. Thought balloon: the power of memory. Elephants have one of the largest brains of any land animal, weighing over 10 pounds, and packed with more neurons than most mammals on Earth. Their hippocampus, the part of the brain that stores emotion and memory, is incredibly developed. That's why they mourn their dead, recognize family members after decades apart, and even grieve at the bones of lost loved ones. They've been seen caressing tusks of their ancestors, standing silently for hours. That's not random behavior. That's respect. That's memory turned into emotion. They can remember human voices, too. Villagers in Africa say elephants know the difference between friendly and hostile tribes just by the sound of their language. If they've been treated kindly, they approach without fear. If they've been hunted, they stay away. That's emotional intelligence that rivals ours. Globe showing Europe, Africa, the matriarch's wisdom. In every herd, there's a matriarch, the elder female who leads not with power, but with wisdom. She knows the land, the routes, and the rhythm of survival. When drought hits, she remembers hidden water holes from decades ago. When danger comes, her memory decides whether to flee or fight. The herd follows her not because she's the biggest, but because she's the most experienced. That's leadership through knowledge, not fear. When the young are restless, she guides them. When the old are weary, she waits for them. She teaches patience through presence. And that's why elephants thrive, because they honor experience instead of ignoring it. Elephant: the emotion in giants. Elephants cry real tears. They comfort each other through touch and sound. They trumpet in joy, rumble in sorrow, and wrap trunks around one another in empathy. That's compassion in its purest form. They live in families where everyone matters, from the smallest calf to the oldest elder. They protect their young with fierce loyalty, but never out of anger, always out of love. That's strength wrapped in softness, the same balance every human heart needs to learn. Fire: the lesson in the herd. Your memory is your map. Don't let pain make you forget your path. Use it to guide others. The elephant teaches that forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's choosing not to repeat the wound. They mourn their dead, honor their past, but they keep moving. That's emotional strength, the kind that carries generations forward. In a world that celebrates speed, the elephant moves with purpose. It reminds us that wisdom doesn't rush, it remembers. You can't build your future if you're always running from your past. But you can guide others if you remember where you've been. Sunrise: the message. Your story matters. Your memories are not your prison, they're your compass. Every hardship you've survived is proof of your resilience. Every scar is a landmark of growth. Be like the elephant. Lead with wisdom, not fear. Carry your past like a lantern, not a weight. And remember, those who forget where they came from lose sight of where they're going. Number 5. The art of renewal, the story of jellyfish. Did you know there's a jellyfish that can live forever? It's called Turritopsis dohrnii, the immortal jellyfish. When injured or old, it resets its cells back to their earliest form and starts life again. No death, no decay, just renewal. It's nature's reset button. This creature doesn't fight the current, it becomes it. No brain, no bones, no resistance, just flow. And that's where the lesson begins. Thought balloon: the science of immortality. When most living things face damage, they age, weaken, or die. But the jellyfish does the opposite. When it senses crisis, it transforms. It reverts its cells into a younger state, turning back time, healing itself completely. That process is called transdifferentiation. It's not fantasy, it's biology. Scientists study this tiny being to understand regeneration, the same science that might one day help humans repair damaged cells, organs, or even reverse aging. That means a jellyfish smaller than your fingernail holds the secret to renewal that humans have chased for centuries. Water wave: the flow of life. The jellyfish lives in the ocean without control, drifting where the current takes it. It doesn't fight storms, it rides them. It doesn't resist waves, it dances with them. And yet, it always survives. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Because sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is stop fighting what's already flowing your way. When life pushes you in directions you didn't plan, it doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're being redirected. The jellyfish teaches that you don't need control to have power. You need rhythm. You need trust. You need faith in your own ability to rise again after you've fallen. Brain: the hidden design. Even without a brain, The jellyfish operates with perfect precision. Its body is transparent, delicate, yet deadly to those who touch it unprepared. It moves with grace, guided by instinct and light. It doesn't need to see the future to survive it. It just keeps flowing, adapting to whatever comes. That's a kind of intelligence humans overlook, the wisdom of simplicity. Sometimes, less thinking and more trusting can save you. Sometimes, surrendering isn't giving up. It's allowing life to do its work through you. Fire the lesson in renewal. Starting over isn't failure, it's nature. You can't control the waves, but you can control how you move through them. The jellyfish shows that real immortality isn't about avoiding pain. It's about transforming through it. Every reset is a rebirth. Every ending is just energy changing form. So when life knocks you down, don't fear the fall, become the tide. Don't cling to what broke, flow into what's next. Because your comeback story begins the moment you stop resisting and start releasing. Sunrise the message. Be fluid. Be fearless. When life pushes you back, drift forward again. You don't need to be rigid to be strong. You don't need to have all the answers to keep evolving. Sometimes, just surviving the storm is the victory. The jellyfish teaches the art of renewal, the grace of movement, and the beauty of second chances. You're not stuck, you're becoming. So stop fighting the current and start flowing with your purpose. Number 4. The Master of Change, the story of the octopus. Did you know the octopus has 3 hearts and blue blood? It can solve puzzles, mimic creatures, and escape from sealed tanks. Each of its arms can think for itself, literally, a brain in every limb. That's not science fiction, that's the ocean's genius at work. The octopus is nature's shapeshifter. It can change color, texture, and even body language to blend into coral, rocks, or shadows. It can vanish in plain sight. And when it's trapped, it can slip through an opening the size of a coin. Because bones limit movement, but the octopus has none. That's the secret. It lives without limits. Thought balloon: the science of adaptability. The octopus is one of the smartest invertebrates on Earth. Its neurons aren't just in its head, 2/3 of them are in its arms. That means each arm can move, sense, and react independently. It can multitask in a way no human can. While one arm opens a shell, another explores the ocean floor, and another defends its space. That's 8 minds working as one body. Scientists have watched octopuses open jars from the inside, mimic other animals like lionfish and eels, and even sneak out of aquariums at night to hunt and return before morning. They don't need to be taught. They just learn by watching, by trying, by adapting. That's intelligence in its rawest form. Waterwave: the artist of disguise. An octopus can transform its entire appearance in less than a second. Its skin holds tiny cells called chromatophores that expand and contract to change color instantly. It's not just camouflage, it's communication. When it's calm, it glows soft blue. When threatened, it flashes red or black. And when it's curious, it pulses with light patterns like an underwater language. That's emotion turned into art. In the ocean, predators hunt with speed, but the octopus wins with adaptation. It doesn't have to fight to survive. It evolves, it adapts, it disappears. That's not cowardice, that's strategy. Brain: the mind of mystery. The octopus is a thinker, a planner, and a problem solver. It plays with toys, remembers mazes, and even recognizes human faces. In labs, they show preference towards certain people and squirt water at the ones they dislike. They can plan escapes, fake death, and use objects as shields. That means they don't just react, they decide. Every movement of the octopus is a lesson in intelligence and independence. It teaches that you don't have to be loud to be brilliant. You just have to know how to adapt, when to shift, and how to blend when life gets heavy. Fire the lesson in change. The octopus doesn't fear change, it becomes it. When it loses an arm, it regrows it. When the water changes temperature, it shifts its rhythm. When predators approach, it transforms its entire identity. That's not running away, that's mastering survival. Change isn't chaos, it's creativity. You don't need to control everything. You just need to respond with wisdom. That's what evolution really means. Not just growing stronger, but smarter, calmer, and more fluid every time life tests you. Sunrise the message. Adaptability is power. When life cuts you down, grow back what you lost. When pressure hits, disappear into patience. You don't have to fight your environment, become it. Change doesn't destroy you, resisting it does. So let the world shift, and shift with it. The octopus teaches that transformation isn't weakness, it's strength in motion. Be unpredictable, be creative, be ready to change form when the world least expects it. Because that's how you survive forever. Number 3, transformation takes time. The story of the butterfly. Did you know a butterfly spends more time hidden than it does flying? Weeks in darkness, and then one brief, breathtaking moment in the sun. Inside that cocoon, it melts completely into liquid before reforming into something new. That's not decoration. That's death and resurrection. Before the beauty, there's a breakdown. Before the wings, there's waiting. And that's what people forget. Transformation isn't instant. It's invisible work that takes patience and pain. Balloon, the science of metamorphosis. When a caterpillar enters its cocoon, it doesn't just grow wings, it dissolves. Its body breaks down into a soup of living cells. Then, those cells rebuild into a new creature entirely. New organs, new eyes, new legs, new life. It's not a change of form, it's a change of being. Scientists call it complete metamorphosis. And it's one of the most extreme transformations in nature. Imagine destroying everything you were so you can become something new. That's the courage of the butterfly. The waiting season. In the cocoon, there's no movement, no applause, no proof that progress is happening. It's quiet, still, and dark. But that's where the miracle happens, not outside, but inside. Growth is invisible before it becomes visible. The butterfly teaches that silence is part of success. Just because the world doesn't see your progress doesn't mean you're not evolving. Every dream has a dark season. Every vision has a waiting period. But that's not punishment. That's preparation. Fire the struggle of wings. When the butterfly finally breaks free, it struggles. Its wings are wet and weak. It has to fight its way out of the cocoon to strengthen them. If you help it out too soon, it will die, because the struggle is what gives it strength to fly. That's life. The hard moments are not meant to stop you. They're meant to shape you. The butterfly doesn't skip the struggle, it pushes through it. And because of that, it earns the sky. Balloon, the lesson of transformation. Don't rush your process. Don't compare your timeline to someone else's. Your cocoon might take longer, but that's because your wings are being built for bigger things. The world will doubt you while you're still in the dark, but that's okay. Wings take time. You're not stuck, you're becoming. Every challenge is your construction phase. Every setback is your shaping season. The butterfly reminds us that growth hurts before it heals. And healing takes time. Rainbow, the message. Patience is power. Stillness is sacred. Transformation takes time. You don't bloom overnight. You build in silence, and then rise in color. When you finally emerge, let your growth speak louder than your history. Let your flight prove what your cocoon couldn't. The butterfly teaches that the most beautiful things in life don't happen fast. They happen faithfully. So trust your process. Keep growing in the dark, because one day, you'll look back and realize that every struggle was just your wings learning how to open. Number 2, creation through consistency, the story of the spider. Did you know a spider rebuilds its web every single day? No matter how many times it's broken, cut down, or blown away, it starts again. That silk it spins is stronger than steel of the same thickness. And every strand, every angle, is designed from memory, without tools, without plans, without fear. That's not instinct, that's artistry. That's consistency turned into creation. Balloon, the science of the web. Spider silk is one of the most incredible materials on Earth. It's lightweight, elastic, and tougher than Kevlar. Scientists still can't fully replicate it in labs. Each strand can stretch to nearly 5 times its original length without breaking. And the spider doesn't spin it randomly, it designs it with purpose. Every web begins with one anchor line, the foundation. From there, the spider measures, spins, and weaves, building a pattern so perfect that mathematicians study it as natural geometry. That's intelligence written in silk. And here's what's wild. Spiders don't use sight to build. They use touch. Each vibration from a single thread tells them where to connect the next one. Their entire world is built on sensitivity, awareness, and repetition. That's how mastery works. Not by luck, but by feel. Spider, the art of rebuilding. Every night, the spider eats its old web, recycles the silk, and builds a new one. It doesn't cling to yesterday's success. It understands that fresh work requires fresh effort. That's the secret most people miss. You can't live off what you built last week. You can't grow if you stop spinning. Every morning, you start again. And every night, you improve the pattern. That's how greatness happens, through quiet repetition. The spider doesn't fear failure, it expects it. Wind will tear the web. Rain will break the lines. But instead of quitting, it rebuilds. Every single time. Balloon, the lesson of persistence. When life destroys what you've built, rebuild it better. When your plans fall apart, spin again. Because progress doesn't come from perfection, it comes from persistence. The spider teaches that consistency is creativity. It's not about how many webs fall. It's about how many you rebuild. Each rebuild makes the silk stronger, the design cleaner, and the spider wiser. That's the same with people. Every mistake, every heartbreak, every setback is just another layer of strength being spun inside you. Fire the hidden intelligence. There are over 40,000 species of spiders, and every single one spins differently. Orb weavers create the classic spiral webs you see in the morning dew. Jumping spiders hunt without webs at all, planning complex ambushes with mathematical precision. Trapdoor spiders build hidden tunnels with doors that blend perfectly into the ground. Every one of them is a different version of creativity. They don't all use the same pattern, but they all use the same principle: consistency. Do the work. No excuses. No complaints. Just weave. Sunrise the message. Don't cry over what got destroyed. Rebuild it better. Don't wait for perfect timing. Start spinning with what you have. Mastery doesn't come from motivation. It comes from movement. The spider teaches that every day is a chance to start again. It doesn't build one masterpiece. It builds hundreds until one shines. So keep weaving. Keep spinning. Keep creating. Because your next design might just be the masterpiece. Number 1. The Never Sleeping Nation, the story of ants. Coming in at number 1, we have the smallest empire with the biggest impact, the ants. Did you know ants never sleep? That's right. These tiny engineers of the earth don't punch out, don't take coffee breaks, and don't curl up for bedtime. Instead, they live in motion, a rhythm of micro-rests so short that scientists can barely measure them. Seconds at a time, eyes closed if you could even call them eyes, then back to work. Over and over, endlessly. When you think of the word workaholic, you probably think of people glued to laptops chasing deadlines. But ants are the original entrepreneurs of the natural world. They don't clock in or out, because their purpose never ends. Ant the living machine. Inside every colony is a system so advanced it would humble our biggest cities. Picture this: millions of individuals moving in harmony. No meetings, no arguments, no confusion. Yet every grain of sand, every leaf fragment, every drop of food is carried with precision. That's not chaos, that's coordination. Ants communicate through pheromones, invisible chemical trails. One ant discovers food, and within minutes, an army forms a living highway between the source and the nest. No words, no text messages, no hesitation, just perfect teamwork. Imagine if humans worked like that. One goal, one mission, no ego. That's how ant colonies conquer the world quietly, collectively, efficiently. Crown the queen, the soldiers, the builders. Every colony starts with a queen, not a ruler sitting on a throne, but a mother who breathes life into the system. Her job is to lay eggs, thousands of them. The workers protect her, feed her, and clean her. The soldiers stand guard at every entrance, ready to sacrifice themselves to protect the nest. The workers dig tunnels, care for young, and build structures so complex that if you scaled them up, they'd look like futuristic cities. Some colonies stretch miles underground, with ventilation systems, nurseries, food storage chambers, and waste zones. All of it created by creatures the size of rice grains. Humans build skyscrapers, but ants have been building civilizations underground for over 100 million years. Globe showing Europe, Africa, the original farmers and engineers. You might not know this, some ants are farmers. They literally grow fungus underground and feed it leaves, maintaining the perfect humidity and temperature. Others raise aphids, tiny insects they milk for sweet honeydew. That's agriculture before humans even existed. They've mastered teamwork, architecture, and resource management long before we built a single tool. They work for the good of the colony, not the individual. That's unity with purpose. Thought balloon, the lesson in purpose. Ants don't waste time asking, why me? They just move. They know their role, they do their part, and together they create miracles. They show that no task is too small when it serves something greater. Ants don't need motivation, they have mission. They don't need rest, they have rhythm. They remind us that real strength isn't size, it's synergy. One ant alone is fragile, but a colony together is unstoppable. Fire the philosophy of the colony. When you step on an ant trail, watch what happens. They scatter, but within seconds, they reorganize. No arguments, no chaos. They rebuild the line and keep moving. That's resilience at its purest. They don't stop because something went wrong. They adapt because something must continue. That's a mindset every creator, every worker, every dreamer should learn. Don't quit when your plan gets crushed. Just reroute. Don't cry over lost time. Build a new tunnel. Don't stop moving, because your mission matters. Sunrise the message. The ant teaches that purpose needs no permission. That success is built one grain at a time. That strength isn't in the noise, it's in the numbers. Ants never sleep because progress never stops. You don't have to move fast, you just have to keep moving. You don't have to lead the colony, you just have to serve the mission. Because when everyone plays their part, the impossible becomes inevitable. So remember this lesson from the tiniest nation on Earth. Stay focused, stay united, stay building. Because greatness doesn't rest. And that's why, coming in at number 1, is the ant. The creature that never sleeps, never stops, and never gives up. Tantrum knows.